TESOL presents Free Friday webinars. I'm your hostess, Shelly Sanchez Terrell, and here's Roscoe the Pug, and he's in his holiday gear because we are going to be talking about some December holidays coming up, which could include December, and then they go into January and February, but there's the Advent season coming up, so you'll be able to see ideas for Advent calendars. There is also, of course, I know we just finished Thanksgiving for some of you, and I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We also have Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Diwali, so there's a bunch of different holidays coming up soon, including New Year's. So whatever holiday that you celebrate or want to introduce your students to, it's a great time to teach them about culture, gift giving, and also different types of history that come along with different countries around the world. It's a great time of year because this is a time when we can really help our students not only learn different types of skills. They can learn, of course, they can enhance their listening, their reading, their writing, speaking skills, but by creating special gifts, but they can also give back, and they can also do things that are really help uplift others. So I think that's always a good thing. That's also a time to be able to do artistic and creative things. So if you want to integrate some art and creativity into different projects, this is a great time to do that. And plus, a lot of kids around the world, sometimes they can't afford to buy things for their parents. That used to be a problem I had when I was younger. We didn't get allowance or anything. So creating a digital gift can be a way that they can send greetings. They can send digital gifts to their family members. Some of their family members may live abroad. They might live in other countries. And so that really does help being able to give a digital gift. And yes, like Peggy says, parents love homemade gifts. There's a lot of really special things they could do online. You know, making crafts is really great, but sometimes students will still have to buy, if you don't provide the crafts materials, then they'll still have to buy those. But also, doing it digitally means that it's preserved a lot longer. It's harder for the parents to throw that, while the students while the children get older and older. It's easier to be able to keep a digital gift and to keep that digital record for a while. It's also much easier for them to be able to see the date and time that happened, because sometimes with other gifts, you have to make sure to mark them off. So there's a lot of things that, as language learners, that you can go ahead and teach your children by making, our students, by making holiday gifts. They can enhance their reading, writing, speaking, and listening skills. One way is if you do want to celebrate Christmas, and there's a lot of countries that do, then they can write Santa letters. One of the jobs I used to have is actually writing kids back and creating Santa letter templates for them to fill out, so that way they could email Santa and Santa would write them back. I'm going to go ahead and let Rossi go right now because he's getting heavy there. But some of the Santa letters are pretty easy. This is a really easy way to get students involved, and also for them to follow the tradition, especially if they're young learners. If they're children, then they may believe in writing Santa. So receiving a Santa email later really does help them get excited and ready for the holidays. So now is a good time to write Santa or email Santa a letter and see him email one back. Students can learn about other holidays. They can learn about the history, the traditions, the decorations. One of the things is definitely the food, the kind of diets that are allowed in different types of holidays like Hanukkah. There's certain dietary restrictions, and how gift giving is different as well in those traditions. different songs that they can go ahead and they can sing. Also, they can learn about the different games. Here's a very popular game that students can learn about. They can also make those. There's actually many different sites that will show you how to make these simple little crafts and games. And then your students have something to play with during the break if they do get a break. You can see what the different symbols mean, different drinks they drink, and you can just learn a lot about students. So you can ask them, your students, what kind of holidays they celebrate and how they celebrate. They can create presentation or they can create digital stories, and then they can let you know and the class know and teach them about their own traditions. So one resource that I always mention during this time that has tons and tons of ideas that is updated pretty regularly is cyberdemon.com/decemberholidays.html. He talks about Hanukkah, he talks about Christmas, and just different types of holidays. And so I like this resource. Larry Ferlazzo has a lot of different resources as well. But I like Cyberdemon because he does do different holidays. Sometimes Larry Ferlazzo does too, but Larry Ferlazzo definitely has a lot of Christmas ideas as well. So, of course, here you go. Here's one, Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa by Larry Ferlazzo. So these are the two ones that are really definitely, you'll find some resources here. You'll find some resources in my Pearl Tree. But Larry Ferlazzo and Jerry Cyberdemon definitely both have tons more resources, and that's where I learn a lot about things as well. There's actually resources tied to the Common Core. So if you are looking to align things to science, math, you want projects for English language arts, anything like that, you're going to find it in this Live Binders. So this Live Binders of the Common Core is a really good one, full of different activities. Now, some of them are out, may not be accessible, but a lot of them still are. So I continue to share this until we kind of shy away from that. So, but this is still a really, really good resource that you can. So just because we study, of course, the different holidays doesn't mean that we have to that we don't have to teach, you know, science, math, English, geography. So there's definitely ones that you can find for there too. There's another holiday one of Live Binders that's really good too, and so I'm going to put that inside in the chat box. This is how different ones, different countries around the world actually celebrate Christmas. So this is Christmas around the world. So that one's a really good one as well that I didn't put up here. And that one's really good because, for early childhood. So if you teach anywhere from like 9 or 10 or 6, 7, and 8, then 8-year-olds. So 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. Then that last Live Binder that I put inside the chat box will be really good to introduce your students to Christmas celebrated around the world. The National Geographic for kids has some really awesome resources as well. There's, of course, holiday games. And students like celebrating that as well, or holiday games. But they also have slideshows. They talk about the Chinese New Year. And I believe the Chinese New Year differentiates a lot, but it usually comes around January or February, the end of January. And so that's some traditions that your students can learn about as well. But they have international ways of people celebrating around the world. And then, of course, there's digital gift giving, which is some of my favorite types of gift giving. One of the resources I wanted to share with you, well, one of the most recent ones on my blog is digital ways to celebrate December holidays. Now, I'm going to be updating this really soon. It's going to pretty much be the same post. It's just going to make sure that all the links are working. So this one will be really good. It gives you different apps that you can look at. It also gives you, of course, different free apps, different free web tools, and how you can, your students and you can make great digital gifts. One way that you can, that's not a digital gift, so this is a little bit different, but you can find different patterns and stuff, is if you have your students, if they're going to make crafts, like maybe they can make a Santa hat or something like that, something very simple, but they can, of course, make sewing patterns. If you give them a sewing pattern, then that's a great way to learn math, to be able to measure and to really see a real world learning. Because if they don't get the blueprints and the patterns right, or the measurements right, then of course it doesn't come out right. So we want to make sure, and we want to make sure that the math and all of that is good. So you can actually find a lot of different projects on Pinterest, so that's what I would recommend. And I'm going to give you a link in the chat box to Pinterest sewing projects for the holidays or Christmas. So there's lots of things they can do. Something very simple like a mitten or a scarf. Sometimes they can do a lot of sewing of ornaments. They can make stockings. So there's really simple patterns that they can follow that is not gonna make it really difficult for them to sew. So there are definitely things that the kids can do. Sometimes they don't even need to sew. If you're worried about them using string and a needle, a lot of times they have, of course, the plastic, yarn, and thread. So I think that that's really good as well. They also have where your students can do things like they can hot glue. A lot of times they'll use things like felt, and then your students can just like glue the felt together instead of sewing it. One of the ideas that I continue to talk about every year, because I think it's such a great idea, is making a cookbook. So your students, that's something digital they can do. They can use digital tools, free ones, to make different types of cookbooks. You can make a class cookbook where each student shares a family recipe. They can interview their mother, their father, their aunt, uncle, their grandparents. They can interview them and ask them, like, how long that recipe has been there. Get the recipe. They can show pictures of what that recipe looks like. And each student afterwards, not only making this holiday book, that they can give it to the class or offer this digital free book free online to the whole entire school community. They might want to also use this cookbook. They could put it on the Play Store, the Google Play Store, or they could put iBook or something and raise funds. Use that money to raise funds for a computer in the classroom or some kind of technology, or maybe they just need more supplies in the classroom. It could be more, pencils, pens, rulers, anything like that. Or they can raise that money to give to families in need to buy, Christmas presents or something for homeless kids or something. So they could use the whatever money, that's a donation or something, from that cookbook to do something really great as well. So they can have a cookbook in different languages where they have the recipes, and then in their own, if you do teach students from different backgrounds or with different languages, then that's a way for them to share their language. They can have it in an English version, and then they can have their own language version. They can talk about different desserts. They can have they can also even add videos of them cooking and doing the instructions, and they can add audio since it's a digital book. One way to do this is with FlipSnack. FlipSnack is a great tool, and there's a lot of these tools that no longer exist. So I try to get the ones that are actually pretty decent that you can use. FlipSnack is a really easy tool to use, and it looks like a book. You can see here, it looks like a Christmas book, and then they can add their different instructions and tell you how to make this. It could be crafts as well, so it could be something like some times it could be something very simple, like how to make different gifts. You see those on Facebook a lot, the little videos that come out, and it's like a jar and how they fill the jar, and then that makes some kind of nice soup or something. The other one is Issuu. Issuu has never gone out of business that I've seen. Issuu used to be it is a mobile app, but it's only that you can read it. You can't create the digital book with Issuu. So Issuu and FlipSnack are free, but they're online. Of course, you could use something like Google Slides, or you can use Google Docs. Will have a template for books as well. So you could definitely use Google Slides. That's not gonna. That's another way to kind of have like a digital book. Issuu, the good thing is it'll allow links and stuff, and I'm not sure if FlipSnack does that. I haven't used FlipSnack in a while, so I'm not sure if it does or it doesn't. One thing, and I see Fabiana's here, but Fabiana's can let you know more about Sway, but Sway could kind of be a way to create a digital cookbook as well, because Sway sometimes looks like also like kind of a little book as well sometimes. So I think you could do it with Sway too. If you want to use a mobile app, then the best one that I know of is Book Creator. So with Book Creator, they can definitely add the recipe. They can add pictures, they can add video, they can add audio, which makes it awesome. And then they can have it on iBooks, or they can have it on the Google Play Store. That's where you can do that. So if you happen to have if you happen to have iOS devices. So not only can they play holiday games, but they can also, of course, create their own holiday games. Now, if you want to know about many more in-depth ways that they can create adventure games and stuff like that, that's actually, we've already done a webinar like that, and that's in the shellytarot.com games. So I'll go ahead and put the links to that. But TinyTap is really great, because even if your students can't create the games because you don't have Android or iOS devices to make them, they're really simple to make. Even 3- and 4-year-olds can make these games. They're really creative. They're wonderful. But if they can't make them, then one of the great things is they can play them. So they can play games that other children have made as well. Okay, so Peggy asked, what's the best way to create a cookbook that can be opened and read on any platform? I think the best way is either they can make it in Google Slides, or a Google Doc if it's only a picture, or I think the other one is they can make it on Issuu, or they can create it even as a Google Doc and then save it as a PDF, because PDFs open in different versions as well. So any of those ways I think would be really, really good. So they can create their own holiday games. The great thing is TinyTap has sound effects. It has where they add their own pictures. They can also have effects like when you get the answer right, the balloons come down. But it can be just fun games. There's other game designs as well that let you draw, will let your students draw, that let students code and make the game. So it could be something like Santa chasing his reindeers. It could be something like, even like a tutorial on how to play different Chanukah or Hanukkah games. It could be, so there's a lot of digital ways that they can be able to have the games that are holiday games. It could be Santa climbing up a chimney or reindeers racing through the snow. So there's lots of ways that they can really have those games. They can send holiday cards of different holidays. And the one that I really like a lot is Red Stamp. It comes in several different devices, including online. but they are very sensitive to where the students can have pictures. They can have their own pictures so they can make it personalized. And they have templates for different holidays, so they respect different cultures, different traditions, and things like that. So I really, really like that too. Sicilian Ink also has those as well, and that's also a mobile app as well. So both of these are on the web, they're on iOS, and they are on Android, which is very important. So here are some really creative ways that you can also have your students learn how to speak or practice their speaking skills along with sharing their pictures. So one that I like a lot is Photobabble. Photobabble is very simple. It's an easy project. You can do it really fast. It's only on iOS and it's only on the web, but it's free. And they have different backgrounds that look really nice, so you can upload a picture, and then your students record their voice. So it can be a voice greeting. They can sing songs, and send these to their relatives and friends and family members. There's also 30 Hands, and 30 Hands actually just had a digital storytelling webinar on how to use 30 Hands this past week. So you can see some of the newest features on 30 Hands. There's always there's Elf Yourself, and that should be free, but Jib Jab, every year Jib Jab, that's kind of a Jib Jab has where your students can actually go and they can do something for the holidays, and they always make one of the templates free. So I'm going to go ahead and you can see which ones and see which one is free. Sometimes it's the elf dance, sometimes it's another one, sometimes it's, you never know which one it is. So I think that one's really funny. Yeah, exactly. They're really funny, they're creative, and they can add their whole entire family members. If you look on Android or iOS on the store, so a lot of times the way I find apps is that I will actually go and, let me see, I go to the App Store, and when I look in the App Store, what I usually do is I just type in, let's see here, search, and when I look at search, I just put in talking deer, talking reindeer, talking Santa, talking snowman, or I'll even put holidays or Christmas, and then you find tons of cool apps. That's actually how I discover many of the apps that I have, is I just look on the App Store and then I find lots of cool ones. And the reason I do that each year is because they change them, so some of the apps aren't available. It's not the same link. So Photobabble and 30 Hands have been there forever, and Jib Jab, which is online, but things like the Talking Santa, that link changes all the time. And depending, if you have a Windows phone, there's going to be one for Windows as well. The ones that are really great for Christmas, well, you can find Pic Collage, Image Chef, Avery, or Bunsy, Edgy Bunsy. They have an iOS app. These three have Android and iOS. Bunsy only has iOS at the moment, so it's only if you have like an iOS device. Yes, exactly. You put your pictures in the Jib Jab. That's another thing to realize. Okay, so a lot of these you don't need to post publicly online. So for a lot of these different projects, even though they're sharing their personal pictures, your students will only send that to the family members. And the way they send it is through an email, so they will need to know the email address of the parent, or sometimes they have the option of sending it through Facebook. Or even through a text. So I prefer email because that's free. Text might charge, you know, with data and stuff. So usually we send it through email. And then I don't like them to send stuff necessarily through Facebook, because if they send it through Facebook, then they stay on Facebook. But a lot of these projects, even though they're still protecting the students, because the students don't have to share them publicly. They don't have to publish them publicly, which is really important. They also have like a talking elf. I'm still trying to put this up, except my phone is taking forever since this takes a lot of ones as well. You can create calendars with Frame Artist. That is only an iOS device, an iOS one as well. So unfortunately, but you can create advent calendars, or there are templates on my blog on how to create an advent calendar that's a digital one through Google Calendar. So if you look at that, I'll try to find that, but the advent calendar, I have a template that is free for that, and then that way you can create a digital one as well. So I can go ahead and give you the link on this. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably also just update this as well and put it at the teacherbootcamp.com site. Felix, I have to check whether, but that is a holiday video card, so you can send video cards. Your students can, and they have different templates. Another way to learn about the holidays and to learn about is to take a virtual trip. So your students can take a virtual trip to the North Pole. They can see a museum exhibit. One of my favorite ones is each year they come out. So one of the museums always comes out with toys around the world, like Christmas toys or holiday toys. And it shows like different cultures. Sometimes it's a magazine article. Larry Filazzo usually shares this a lot. But it's one of the favorite exhibits because it shows like kids and what they receive. And so I think that's really interesting. They can see different art exhibits, different Christmas festivals. One of the best festivals that I really enjoy and love is, of course, the one in Germany, because I used to live in Germany. And in Germany, they have Christmas markets, and they're so different, and the toys are very different that the German children receive either than the versus the children in the US. So children in Germany get a lot of hand carved toys, wooden toys. They're great quality. The ornaments look very different. They're craft-wise. They have different traditions in Germany. They have like a chocolate Santa Claus that and then they also have different Santa Claus that represent things. And depending on whether you're naughty or nice, that's the Santa Claus that visits you. So you can learn a lot about different countries and the ways they celebrate the holidays. Oh, that's great. So Tequatia has an EdTech calendar as well. So she has an advent calendar that Peggy shared. So that'll be really nice as well. You can learn from a guest speaker or learn from another class. You can interview students from that classroom, and they can either teach you, of course, holiday songs, even with hand movements and stuff. So that's always fun. Or puppets, or they can show you a traditional outfit that they wear. You can Skype different, students around the world and learn about their holidays. They can share with you their Christmas stories. They can read to you the Christmas stories. Do a little impromptu Christmas play. Maybe that's really famous. Talk about their traditions. And then they can show toys and gifts from the past, and then you can exchange these ideas. Or you can take a real field trip somewhere around that's going to show you about culture. There's a lot of cultural festivals, so I think that's always really good. So I'm going to go ahead and give you, so this Pearl Tree has so many more ideas. It has websites to tons and tons of things. And then I gave you the link also. Thanks, Peggy, for sharing that. And then the link also to where you can find the advent calendars, and every time that I update a post, it goes on there. But I have posts for holiday apps. I have them for web tools, for crafts, for teaching young learners, Christmas, teens. So just tons and tons of resources out there. And that's it. So I'm going to have little Christmas Puggy here. Say goodbye, and his little reindeer. He's Santa's reindeer this year, so we'll have him say bye real quick in his little Christmas sweater. And hi, happy holidays, saying happy holidays to all of you. And we hope you have wonderful holidays, and we will see you, of course, next week and share some more great stuff.